Real YouTubers. Why did I try to start the F down here? What happened? I tried to make a circle. It didn't work. You know what? Oh, I can control Z, but that feels like cheating. Real YouTubers. Real YouTube. I don't know why I'm very particular today. Real YouTubists do set review, match review. Today we are looking at somebody else's game. Hello. Long day, am I right? Anyway, so there I was, thinking about, kind of different content I could do, and I had this idea. So, basically, long story short, here's the deal. I have a friend named Faye. Faye has recently gotten into competitive Pokemon. She played Pokemon for a while, back, I believe, around 2016, 2017 era, probably before that. She has played other fighting games as well, but competitive VGC style stuff, she's relatively new to. She's also a voice actress as well, and so we're friends, and she got interested in competitive Pokemon with the women's tournament, actually, a month or so ago. And so she was like, obviously I was helping her prep for that a little bit, and we had some other friends helping as well. And now she has been playing in the Players' Cup online qualifier, and she actually did very well. She went 12 wins and 3 losses in the first day, which is, I'm recording this before second day has started, so that's a very, very, very strong start, and she streamed all of it. Now, I'm saying this because I'm going somewhere. I think also this isn't fully zoomed. Fix that in the meantime. Yeah, it's not. Let's do this. So something that people ask me about a lot is they ask me to review their teams. Now, I don't normally do like team reviews for people, but I thought what could be interesting is maybe doing match review. As like obviously Faye is someone who has very good instincts, and I think she can definitely be very good at Pokemon. And I believe she went 4-3 or 5-3 in the women's tour, and now 12-3 in the online qualifier, which for somebody who's been playing for like less than 2 months is extremely, extremely good. But that being said, she is still new, she is still learning, and so I am someone who's been playing Pokemon for a very long time. Competitive Pokemon, this would have been my 10th World Championships. We would have been past, this would have been my 11th VGC season if we were having events right now. So there's some things that I kind of don't always go into, and some things that, because I've been playing for so long, are just kind of natural for me that maybe for somebody new might be not as intuitive. So I figured something that could be interesting is to take a look at one of Faye's games. I asked her to send me one from last night, and yeah, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of kind of constructive criticism here. I asked Faye, obviously, if she was cool with this. So yeah, I just thought it could be interesting because you guys only ever really see me watching my own games, and when you only really ever see me play Pokemon, right? It's rare that I watch, and even when I do watch, it's normally a big event, like the World Championships or something, and so I'm not really there to critique. I'm more there just to explain why I think the plays are good. So I'm confident that Faye is making good decisions, for the record, but I think it could also be interesting kind of giving some tips here and there, and maybe it will help you all who are getting into competitive Pokemon improve as well. If you want to check out Faye, she streams at Faye Mata. You can see it up here in the top left. So yeah, and I muted the sound. I'm going to mute the sound. Just because I don't want to I want to give it kind of, I want to give my opinion independent of what she's thinking, and yeah, I just think that would probably be better. I also think it'd be distracting to have both of us and make it more like reaction content rather than analysis content, which is what I'm trying to do here. So yes, okay, cool. So she's going up against an interesting team. So, oopsie, I hit pause. So the first thing we have to note here, actually I'll do this in the team preview time. The thing you have to note here when looking at the opponent's team is what are they trying to do? So there's a couple combinations here that we know are threatening. Wait, oh yeah, Series 5. I was like, why isn't Indeedee here? Why is Trinity here? But yeah. So we have Indeedee Reuniclus. Normally this signals that your opponent is going to have Trick Room strategy, which is pretty scary. Indeedee sits Psychic Terrain, Reuniclus sits Trick Room, and they both get Expanding Force. So it's something you have to be aware of. The second combination we notice here is Tyranitar plus Stoutland. Now, Faye is almost certainly not going to know this because Stoutland is a pretty obscure Pokemon. It normally will do one of two things: Intimidate, Support. Unlikely, why would you not have Incineroar? Or more likely, when paired with Tyranitar, Sandrush. It also gets After You. So, Stoutland is basically it can run a Ground-type move to activate Tyranitar's Weakness Policy. It can run After You to make Tyranitar move quickly. And it actually hits pretty hard with with normal type moves. If I were playing against this thing, I would think, okay, maybe I'm expecting After You, but it could also be Choice Band. Choice Band Stoutland is legit, and it could also be Support Stoutland. Like, you can run Growl. Oh, wait, does Stoutland not rank Growl? I think Arcanina doesn't get Growl, but I think Stoutland does. But yeah, so basically with Growl, you can run, like, support options. I've seen Howl Stoutland, which I believe boosts both Pokemon's attack stats, so that's something to be aware of. And then you see Jolteon plus Weezing, probably inspired by your boy over here. Which, Jolteon plus Weezing are not Pokemon that you would expect to do phenomenally in Series 5. However, if you look at Faye's team, her team is really weak to Jolteon because it outspeeds Cinderace and can chunk it for a lot of damage. It one-shots Primarina, it probably one-shots Ninetales or comes pretty close. It one-shots Togekiss. So for all of those reasons, you have to pay a lot of attention to Jolteon. You also have to pay a lot of attention to Reuniclus plus Indeedee here. Now, these are things that I kind of just recognize within, like, an instant, basically. Like, I can look at a team and pretty quickly identify all of what I just said. So, getting familiar with the Pokemon and kind of their roles is pretty important. And it's really difficult when you're starting, especially with, like, some lesser used Pokemon. Like, Reuniclus isn't super popular, Stoutland isn't popular, even Jolteon and Weezing, although I use them, like, they're not Pokemon that are standard or popular by any means. Really only Indeedee and Tyranitar are the common ones here. Now, a couple other inferences. Weezing may have a fire move because Ferrothorn just trounces this team. Reuniclus could also have Focus Blast as well. If I'm Faye here, I'm definitely wanting to pay attention to the Psychic Terrain mode, and I'm definitely wanting to pay attention to Jolteon. So I think Ferrothorn has to come for sure. I don't think you need Togekiss here. It's weak to Weezing, it's weak to Jolteon, it's weak to Tyranitar. It doesn't really do anything versus Indeedee or Reuniclus other than Yawn, and, like, Stoutland, it doesn't really do anything either. So you're probably not bringing Togekiss. You can bring Ninetales. I don't love it, truthfully, because, the sand, like, makes Ninetales so bad, but you can bring it. It's not horrible. And then I think you probably bring Incineroar for sure. It's an immunity to Psychic. With Incineroar and Ferrothorn, you have two Pokemon that can sit in front of the Psychic Terrain users. You also get Intimidate for Tyranitar, so that's really good. I think Cinderace is pretty good here as well. Personally, I don't hate Cinderace here at all. It puts on a lot of offensive pressure. It's one of her best physical answers to Tyranitar. And after an Airstream, it can chunk Jolteon. And because Jolteon is obviously not very physically bulky, it's probably a good lead option here. You also notice your opponent probably doesn't have Intimidate because they have Stoutland. So yeah, personally what I would like to see here is Cinderace, Incineroar, Ferrothorn, Primarina are the Pokemon. Cinderace up front. I think Cinderace and Incineroar gives you immediate Intimidate pressure, and then Ferrothorn, Primarina in the back. You can also do Cinderace, Primarina, like pretty much any combination of those four work. I really don't want to see her bring Togekiss, and I really don't want to see this Ninetales. You can bring it, but like I wouldn't recommend it. If this team didn't have the Tyranitar, I would say go for it. Like if you really want to bring Ninetales, like because getting a Royvel up is valuable. You could maybe do it, but yeah, like if with the Tyranitar, it's not going to be great. But she does okay. She's selected so far Cinderace and Incineroar. That's what I wanted to see from there. I think she's identified. I think Faye is a player who's really, really good instincts. So I think she's looking at this team. She's probably noticing the Psychic Terrain abusers, and these two notice Incineroar is pretty strong here. You do have to watch out for, by the way, Stoutland plus Tyranitar lead if she doesn't lead Incineroar. Oh, there's the Ferrothorn. Okay. Because Stoutland could after you, and then they could Max Rockfall you. She's hovering Togekiss. I understand this because like basically these three are clearly good. The fourth one isn't super intuitive. You can bring Ninetales to overwrite the sand, but it doesn't really help you because you don't have special attackers with the three that she selected. You can bring Togekiss. It's a support Pokemon, but like it doesn't really do that much. The reason I wanted to bring Primarina. Oh, okay, that's perfect. That's exactly what she was supposed to do. Yeah, that's actually perfect, and I like the order as well. You weren't forced to do this order, but I think it's the best one. It gives you a lot of flexibility. It gives you Intimidate immediately in case the opponent leads with Tyranitar. So you do want that Intimidate down. Also, Stoutland is something you have to respect. So I do think that, yeah, I think actually this is her best lead and her best four Pokemon. So I really like what she brought here. Indeedee Reuniclus. Okay, cool. So this is a little bit awkward. She can quickly take a KO here by doubling into a Pokemon, but she has to think about the long term. I think what I would like to see here is maybe a Steel Spike and then either a Parting Shot or a just Dark Move, or if she has Snarl, I'd like to. Snarl would be really good here if she has it. But yeah, you basically want to change Cinderace's type. You also could go for Max Darkness. That may actually be better. I like Steel here because in case Tyranitar switches in, you'd rather be... Actually, oh, she doesn't have it. Okay, then I definitely want to see Steel here. But the fact that she's Iron Head, the fact that she's Protect is going to help a lot versus Trick Room. Also, I like this decision here because, or sorry, what I was going to say is that you don't need to Dynamax here if you don't want. There's nothing wrong with Dynamaxing. Like, I think it makes sense if you are worried that the opponent is going to go on the offensive. I think it's safe to Dynamax, and I don't think you necessarily need to conserve it. But by just regular Iron Heading and not Dynamaxing here... Wait, that's exactly what she's... Yeah, you're actually supposed to... Wait, that's actually exactly... Yeah, okay, that's a kind of a high-level play. Oh. Huh. Okay. You know what? I actually don't hate it. I was not expecting that. It makes sense on the one hand because, like, you do have Incineroar in front of two Psychic types. And you don't really need to Dynamax your Cinderace. Although, the thing is, if you bring Cinderace and, yeah. Okay. So this play makes sense on paper, right? Dynamaxing your Incineroar. I want to pause when Incineroar's on the screen. It makes sense. She's in front of two Psychic types, and she's trying to OHKO this Reuniclus so it can't get Trick Room up. That makes sense to me. The issue is you have to think about how this affects the rest of your team. She's basically just said, my Cinderace now is like not going to be strong or bulky for the rest of this game. That's one of the weaknesses of Cinderace is it really wants to Dynamax. Additionally, the opponent has a lot of special attackers, so I was thinking what I was going to suggest is maybe Iron Head Darkest Lariat turn 1. Or you know, Iron Head Parting Shot, whichever you prefer, and that allows you to potentially have things like depending on how the game shakes out, maybe Dynamax your Primarina into the late game because you can overwrite the Psychic Terrain with Max Starfall and you can overwrite the Sand with Water, and you increase Primarina's bulk by a lot by Dynamaxing it. It actually doubles its overall bulk. Fun little fact that you might not realize. And so even though Dynamaxing Incineroar is good here in terms of the offensive pressure it puts out. Incineroar wasn't threatened here. It wasn't under any danger from the Psychic type Pokemon because it, they do Psychic damage. And almost always in this situation, you're going to see a Trick Room and Follow Me turn 1. So if Faye correctly predicts that the opponent wants to just go for Expanding Force, then I like this play, but it's a really risky play because you didn't really need to Dynamax. Darkest Lariat plus Iron Head would have KO'd the Indeedee anyway. Yeah. And also... you wanted to use Tyranitar to be... Or Incineroar is supposed to be one of your best Tyranitar answers, so you do have to be really careful now that it's... Like, it doesn't want to switch right now, meaning you can't really protect Cinderace that easily from Tyranitar. Though changing to Steel-type does help. But yeah, let's see. Should he Follow Me? Yeah, the opponent goes for Follow Me. This is going to be Follow Me Trick Room every day of the week. That's just, like, kind of the standard play here. Misty... Or Psychic Terrain Setter and DD, female plus Trick Room Setter, that Psychic type is a pretty standard lead, and will almost always go for Follow Me Trick Room, unless they just want to Dynamax an attack, which is... I think they do sometimes, but yeah. Worth noting, she does lower the special defense here. I don't hate that at all. The special defense lowering is going to be helpful for Primarina in the back. So yeah. Also, in terms of like how I think like higher level like you play a game like this, you know the opponent is weak to Ferrothorn, so your goal should be to KO the Pokemon that beat Ferrothorn. And one of the best ways to do that is to force them to come onto the field. So I like the aggressive play here, just taking a KO turn 1. But she needs to make sure she doesn't like lose all her momentum now. Also, changing to Steel-type is good. That's not Tyranitar. Oh, it is Tyranitar. Okay. Huh. Okay, so Tyranitar comes in now. Now, this is an awkward spot, right? Because Tyranitar threatens Incineroar, but is threatened by Cinderace, who's now Steel-type. And she also has a safe switch to Ferrothorn as well. So, in this position, you have a couple options, right? I think you always Max Darkness the Reuniclus or you Max Guard, but I think Max Darkness is best. And then you have the choice of playing defensive with Cinderace, but since you're Steel-type, like, maybe you don't. Or you have the chance of playing offensive with Cinderace, just going for like a high jump kick into Tyranitar. So I think if I were in this position, you're putting on a lot of pressure. I would like to see Max Darkness into Reuniclus, and I think I honestly would either... Like, I think Protect is fine here, but I honestly think she can get away with going for a high jump kick into Tyranitar. Looks like she's hovering Iron Head, thinking about Iron Head. Iron Head makes sense as well. I think the thing is that, like, your Cinderace is not very bulky, so, like, if they Protect, like... You're getting one hit KO'd by a lot of stuff anyway, so I don't think it's that bad to change your type to fighting and just click high jump kick because it's so much stronger if it works. Okay, I like it. Tyranitar is almost certainly going to Dynamax here. I don't think Reuniclus is going to Dynamax in front of Incineroar. That's one side effect of going for a The one side effect of Dynamaxing early is that you really discourage, one side effect of Dynamaxing Incineroar is that you really discourage the opponent's Reuniclus from Dynamaxing because it can't touch Incineroar. So Tyranitar will Dynamax here. Actually, this Incineroar Dynamax that works out pretty nicely because the Reuniclus doesn't switch out, and this is allowing Incineroar to stay on the field and be bulky. So it actually is working out here. It's unconventional, but it is working out. Reuniclus goes for Expanding Force. This is a Steel-type Cinderace, though, so it will survive. It actually doesn't even take that much damage. And Incineroar moves next. It's good to know. You have to note there that the Incineroar is slower than the Tyranitar, which is good to know. But yeah, this is a support Incineroar, as I recall, so... It's not going to be doing a ton of damage. It actually does not one-shot the Reuniclus, which is a surprise to me. I thought that would one-shot, so this may... Yeah, that's why Dynamax against support Pokemon isn't always the best. Rockfall most likely into Incineroar here. Yeah, so this play actually really works out for Faye. As you can see, she would have gone down if she hadn't doubled her bulk. Hydro Kick comes out, it changes the type to fighting. Let's see if it connects. This should one-shot. I think this one-shots. Yeah, the one-shots. So I like the decision to go aggressive there, because Faye, by being aggressive, like in the worst-case scenario, you lose Cinderace. In the absolute worst-case scenario, they probably hit a Focus Blast, and you just, like, you know, the turn is the same, but Tyranitar is still alive. But even that's not so bad. Leftovers. Huh. Yeah. But in the best case scenario, you win the game. So that's a situation where the opponent really where there was high risk, low reward, in my opinion. And at this point, this should be clean. Neither Jolteon. Well, Jolteon doesn't learn any moves that can beat Reuniclus, or that can beat Ferrothorn. So yeah, the opponent's in really bad space here. I think technically the optimal move is Protect plus Max Darkness into the Reuniclus, but I think you can be aggressive if you want. Like, I mean, maybe this is technically optimal because... Ooh, yeah, okay. No. So it won't affect the outcome of the game, most likely, but this is a slight misplay. You really want to get rid of this Reuniclus, in my opinion. And if you're going to do this combination of moves, you want to Max Flare the Reuniclus and Pyro Ball the Jolteon, because Cinderace is... Interesting, okay, Expanding Force comes out. That will be the end of Cinderace. Yeah, I really would have liked to see her double the Reuniclus there, because if Reuniclus goes down, Ferrothorn just wins. Now, I think Ferrothorn will win regardless, truthfully. And even Primarina at this point, like, Primarina also probably just wins. But, yeah, like, this probably doesn't one-shot. Okay, Jolteon is really frail. I'm actually surprised it did more to the Jolteon than to the Reuniclus. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That doesn't make... Actually, I'm going to say that doesn't make any sense to me, but yeah, that should be probably pretty close to the game. Jolteon's going to KO itself with Life Orb. But yeah, in that situation, let me explain it fully. It's technically more optimal to, like, if you get rid of Reuniclus, you can always win with Ferrothorn. Jolteon should never, ever, no matter the circumstances, be able to, Jolteon should never be able to, beat Ferrothorn in a 1-versus-1. And I say, like, so, you know, you might say Reuniclus can't either, but Reuniclus has Magic Guard, so you can't lead seed it, and her Ferrothorn only has Body Press, and Reuniclus learns Focus Blast, so, like, in theory, like, just to be perfectly optimal, whenever I say in theory, my phone activates. To be perfectly optimal, you probably want to go after the Reuniclus there, but she may have been hard reading a Protect. She may have just said, like, also, like, it did a lot to Jolteon. I mean, taking out Jolteon probably wins there as well because you have Primarina in the back, and, like, Reuniclus shouldn't be able to beat Primarina, but, yeah. But, yeah, like, it's very nitpicky, right? The decision to Dynamax Incineroar really paid off here. And she gets to eat her big berry as well. I like when the Dynamax Pokemon eat berries because they're just so big. Like, the Dynamax berry is bigger than any other Pokemon. But yeah, at this point, like, yeah. And even though Cinderace went down there and, like, you know, you would have preferred it not to go down, I think it's fine just to attack there. If Reuniclus blocks into Expanding Force, that means it can't touch your... It can't touch your Incineroar, which means you get another attack off with Incineroar. I don't know if I fully explained this earlier, but the reason I would have liked to see Max Darkness into the Reuniclus and Pyro Ball into the Jolteon is that it guarantees you take a knockout, or it guarantees that they're forced to double protect. Because in order to KO the Cinderace before it attacks, you need to use Reuniclus, and if Reuniclus does anything other than protect, then it gets KO'd by Incineroar. So, yeah, it guarantees that you get, like, pretty close to 100% damage off on something, because Pyro Ball probably comes pretty close to knocking out Jolteon, and Max Darkness would knock out the Reuniclus from that range. So very nitpicky, very minor, but yeah, that's technically a more optimal play. And yeah, at this point, like, as you can see, her Ferrothorn doesn't actually have moves that can beat the Reuniclus. I don't think the Reuniclus can touch the Incineroar here. Technically, your optimal move is to Iron Defense, because that's how you're going to beat this thing, but with Primarina in the back, you should always win. One could also argue that maybe it's optimal to, like, save Incineroar here, because you can just guarantee Darkest Lariat, but the Reuniclus is -3 special defense, so yeah, it's not going to be winning this one. Body Press crits for like 15%. Expanding Force comes out, again, doesn't affect Incineroar, and yeah. Ferrothorn doesn't take very much from it. And then Darkest Lariat for the game. So that was well played. I gave feedback here not because like I think that like the way that she played it was wrong, but it's just like just to give perspective on how most people at like the top level would probably approach this. It's pretty unusual for you to Dynamax an Incineroar that isn't without the intention of Dynamaxing it when building. Like some people run weakness policy Incineroar with like a Bulldoze partner, and that makes sense. You want to Dynamax that one, but for support Incineroar, it's pretty rare to Dynamax it. I don't dislike the play at all. But one small optimization you could make is instead of Dynamaxing turn 1, you can do it turn 2 because you didn't gain anything from doing it in turn 1. And you can catch your opponent off guard turn 2 if you want to Dynamax Incineroar, which again I don't think is inherently wrong here. Like the opponent couldn't switch into Max Darkness once Tyranitar was on the field, so I think that's just like one of those things where more familiarity with the Pokemon and how much damage they're gonna do is probably like it will probably like make that decision more clear. But yeah, like I don't even have that much issue with Dynamax and Incineroar because like obviously I think it works, and it actually, because it hit things for super effective and because Jolteon was in the back like and couldn't switch into it, like it actually like did pretty well there. Yeah, like. But yeah, I think turn 2 Dynamax is better than turn 1 Dynamax in situations where like you don't need the effect turn 1, and yeah. It's kind of hard to describe when turn 2 Dynamax is better than turn 1, but like it didn't change, it didn't help her get a KO. She was getting a KO anyway, and it would have given her an extra turn of Max later on. Small optimization. That's all I'm saying there. So overall, very well played. Like I said, like I think one of the biggest things is bringing the right Pokemon, and I 100% agree with what she brought. And yeah, like I think the willingness to Dynamax Pokemon that are like unconventional is definitely like a valuable skill. So yeah, anyway, I think it was overall very well played. I may have sounded critical or harsh here. That wasn't my intention. I want to point out every single thing I noticed in terms of like being more optimal, just because I think as someone who is probably as someone who is learning the game, I feel like that might be more valuable. Like you don't have to. Nobody has to take my advice in anything, you know, but at least the option is there for people to take if they want. So anyway, that's all I have to say, I think, about it. It was a very, very well played match. Also, yeah, like Faye was in control the entire time, which is honestly pretty difficult against a hard Trick Room team. Like, and her team doesn't necessarily love fighting in Trick Room, so I think that's definitely impressive. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. If you want to see more of this, let me know. I think Faye and I might do another one of these where like she is here with me to ask questions and stuff. So if you want to see that, let me know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.